Okay, you say good morning. Good morning to all of you, both on-site and online. I'm Tiantong Wachiravichai, a staff from the International Affairs Division of Kasetsat University, and I'll be your host for today. And as for today, we have an honor to welcome Professor Matthew P. Downs, a senior advisor in international relations, to be our special speaker instructor for today. So without further ado, please, Professor Matthew, I will pass my microphone to you to begin. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. Let me give you a little bit of background about myself just to start with. I've been at, like I said, I've been at the university now for 9 years. This is my 10th year. I'm a retired law professor and academic from California. Even though I was a law professor for, oh good God, 35, 36 years is the truth. I did a lot of administration, mostly in international programming. I did my law degree both in the United States, and I also have a law degree from Belgium, Catholic University Leuven, and my specialization was international stuff. I taught a lot of international topics, but I also ran international programs in the summertime for American students, American law students, and I helped international students come to grad school at my law school. So I'm very familiar with admission processes and administration of academic programs. I ran programs in London for 10 summers and Sevilla for 2 summers and Salzburg, Austria for 2 summers. So that's my background and how I came to the university at KU. Is I have a really, really good friend in the economics department who knew I was about to retire from law teaching and thought that I would enjoy coming to Thailand. And as I had been a tourist here for about 25 years, he knew exactly right that I wanted to come here. And frankly, I don't plan to leave until somebody kicks me out of your country. I plan to stay. And I'm very happy. What I'm doing this program, why I offered to do it was a couple of reasons. One is that as my life at the university unfolded, I increasingly do a lot of editing. And I edit probably about 20 to 30 documents, short documents, not big documents, every week. And then I also have edited many, many, many abstracts for your students in agronomy and business and economics and et cetera. And I've also edited 2 books, which was great fun. I really, really enjoyed both books. One was on cannabis, in fact, agriculture, and one was on social linguistics with Dr. Tom Maipat. And so I really enjoyed that. So I found that I like editing. I've written, co-authored, not by myself, I co-authored 6 books and a couple little things by myself. And I've learned over the years that editing, it's a shared process. You can't do it by yourself. You can't edit your own work really, really, really well. And so frankly, I have huge respect for you guys. You write the stuff. You know, I just edit. Edit's the easy part. You write the original drafts of the speeches and the letters, the MOUs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, you're doing it in a second language. You know, I have gone to the university in some setting. Well, I've had 23 years of education from a baby all the way up to my graduate degrees. So, and it's all in English. And frankly, I'm the idiot because I only speak one language. I only write one language. You guys are doing this in a second language. So I have huge respect. And so, when I edit, please understand that it's with huge respect and great fondness because I'm aware of how difficult it is for the work you're doing. Okay, now why I offered to do this program were a couple reasons. One is it's in my contract. The university wants me to do some more education, staff training, and I thought, gosh, the one thing I do know something about is editing because I do a lot of editing. So I thought, well, let me try to put together a program on editing. And it's very focused. I plan to focus really on the ceremonial type of speeches, not a formal, give a big speech, a political speech or a lecture, class lecture. No, I'm not doing that. This is just the the event activities that we do so many of. But it's important, I think, to do it in a very professional way. We want to look good, and we want the university to look good, and so that was one reason I offered it. The other reason is that this is my last year. The university has already told me I'm 69, and the university has already told me it is my last year, and so I wanted to transition to help moving, going forward, of passing on what I do know to maybe helpful for you guys, and so I'm going to focus on what I think are common mistakes. Again, I do this with great respect, but yeah, I will focus on what I think are some mistakes, and some of them are just a matter, you have to make a choice. It could be this, it could be that. You just need to decide whether it's this or that, and then be consistent. All right, and so this is very informal. I'm planning to be very informal, and please, I'll stop from time to time and ask for questions. And how are they going to get questions from Zoom? They can send you a little thing. Okay, yeah, send a little message through Zoom chat, and we'll stop from time to time, and I'll try to take questions. But also the most important thing about here, frankly, is my email address, and I'm very happy to take questions or edit documents going forward. So don't hesitate to contact me. Frankly, I'm very worried about retirement because I don't want to be bored. And so please send me lots of questions even after I retire. All right, so here's what I want to do today. I want to talk a little bit about writing ceremonial speeches and the process and the goals of writing a ceremonial speech. And then I want to look at a little bit of the common errors that I see in emails and letters and announcements and the websites, et cetera, and they're kind of picky rules and kind of boring, but it's really important, I think, to be, as I said, to be professional, so we look good to the world, both for us and also for our university. And then a little bit on formal letters, some hints on how to do formal business letters. So those are the topics: ceremonial speeches and some picky rules, and then a little bit about professional writing, emails or letters that I'll do. And that's all I'm going to do today. Okay, now for a ceremonial speech, to start off with, it's important, frankly, to tell who's speaking, unless you're being introduced by somebody else. Introduce yourself. I start off today by, let me tell you about myself and why I'm here. And you can do that very, very fast. Obviously, with a ceremonial speech, you don't need to go into a long dissertation. And frankly, when you say that it's the president of Gissetside University, that's enough. People know, they already, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know for his role in giving a big speech. There's who's speaking. But then sometimes it's with what authority. And what I mean by that is why is this guy talking to us? And a lot of the time, it's just a matter of recognizing that who is the sponsor. Here's a couple of, and throughout this, there's these documents are really, really long because I kept going and going. We're not going to go over them all. You can have them and use them as you wish. I'm sending them to you, or they're going to send them to you in Word, so you can add and subtract and fix as you wish. Not PDF, they're in Word, so you can use them as you wish, because I don't care. All right, the point is, introduce yourself and what is your authority. Example, on behalf of Gissetside University, I am honored, this is the president, I am honored to welcome all of you, each of you, whatever, and then to the name of the conference and who the sponsor is. The conference is sponsored by Gissetside in collaboration with the Alliance of Mekong Nations. And so right up front, short, direct, and that's the emphasis. Frankly, you need to keep it short, concise, factual, with information. Otherwise, you start wandering, then people stop listening. And so it's important to be very short and direct. Often I serve as MC, and frankly, that's all I do. I sometimes say, I used to be a law professor in the United States from California. I've been at the university for 9 years. I am MC, and it is my honor to introduce the first keynote presenter. Because they don't need to hear from me for a long time. That's a waste. And so I want to get right into who is the speaker. Okay, now I want to go back up here a couple of things. I am honored to welcome all of you. I just want you to know, each of you, all of you, you don't need that. It's you. That's all. There's no harm done. No one dies. No one gets sick. There's no harm if you add all of you. The president, frankly, likes to say it, but you don't need it. It's all filler. Just as long as, do lots, it's filler is extra words. You don't need extra words. Now, here's a bad example. I am very delighted and happy to welcome all of you today on behalf of Gustafson University to the 6th annual. This is one sentence that goes on and on and on and on. Frankly, you lose the audience. If you have a long sentence, it's information that's appropriate. It is the 6th annual conference. This is the name of the Conference on Globalization in Southeast Asia. It's arranged by Gustafson in collaboration with the Research Alliance of Mekong. It's all accurate, but break it down in short sentences so people can hear it. Otherwise, they lose attention, frankly. So they lose respect. And also just goes on. It is my highest honor to officially give to all of you this warmest welcome to open this important conference. It sounds great, but he said absolutely nothing. And so get to the point. Short is better. People will hear you. You go on and on and on like I am right now. People stop listening. All right. So that's the introduction. Who you are, and why you're there. Why are you speaking to them? That's all you do is the introduction. And then you go into the body. And the body, frankly, is what's the reason for this event? Because this is ceremonial event speeches. And what's the reason for the event? And what's the background? How did we get here? Well, this conference is part of Gustafson University's 80th anniversary celebration. Earlier this year, the university hosted a lively dialogue featuring environmental scientists who addressed climate change and biodiversity. This conference will broaden that conversation by including policymakers. So it ties the previous conference to this conference and talks about why we're here. We're here for the 80th anniversary. We're pleased for this opportunity to welcome you to our beautiful campus. Last year, we were in Japan at the University of Kyoto. Parentheses, KU, and abbreviations. If you already say the name of the university, Gustafson University, you don't need KU. That gets in the way. You just don't need it. They've already said. Later on, if you want to say KU, because it's a lot shorter, that's okay. But you don't need to do, if you say Gustafson University, you don't need Gustafson University KU. You don't need it. You just don't need it. Okay. So also you need to recognize and be respectful, obviously, to the audience. So again, this is a ceremonial speech, a welcome. And so you have to acknowledge, thank you so much for coming. In addition to the council members, faculty members, and students, a typo, students from Gustafson University who are attending, I wish to give a warm welcome to the rectors, presidents, chancellors, etc., and other representatives from partner institutions who have accepted our invitation. So you just recognize who the audience is, just to be polite and to welcome them. On behalf of Gustafson University, I welcome you. On behalf of Gustafson University Faculty of Engineering and the organizing committee of the Research Alliance of Mekong Universities, I welcome you. That's all you have to do. I will begin by outlining today's agenda. So get to the point, okay? But obviously, you do need to recognize the presenters, okay? Who is the Mekong River Authority? The Mekong River, here, MRA, because later on you're going to use MRA. So the Mekong River Authority, known as MRA, is dedicated to the study of environmental issues affecting the Mekong River system. The MRA's membership includes representatives from each of the 5 nations, all right? A representative from each of the 5 nations will provide remarks during the conference. That's it. Who is the company? Who is the organization? Who's the sponsor? Why we're here? And then who are the speakers? And what are their credentials? Well, my gosh, these are the representatives to the MRA. which I made up, by the way. It's not a real organization. I made it up because I love the Mekong River. I especially thank the distinguished experts who will share their insights and expertise throughout the seminar. The speakers will be introduced at the time of their presentation. So later on, you'll announce them. All right. So we don't need all the filler. I offer my personal best wishes. I don't need personal. I offer my best wishes to you for a successful program. You don't need all the extra words, but it does no harm, but you don't need it. Okay, now you have to be careful with abbreviations. You can only use an abbreviation if everybody knows what it is. So MRA, you don't know until I told you it was the Mekong River Authority. Otherwise, you didn't know. You have to be very careful with using KU unless you tell people. So back up here, I said, guess inside University KU, yeah. But frankly, if it's a conference at KU, they know that. But you have to be careful because look at this. The previous conference was also at Kyoto University, UK. Well, no, you don't need UK because you said University of Kyoto. So just be careful with abbreviations. All right. Okay, let's go further. For actually editing, drafting, putting the speech together. Frankly, for the type of ceremonial events that the president does, the vice president, the deans of the different faculties, frankly, it's more of a conversation, if at all possible. Sounding really, really formal doesn't fit really the settings that mostly, signing MOUs, welcoming people to conferences, closing conferences, welcoming conferences, introducing speakers, the 80th anniversary. When I'm MC, I try to keep it, conversational as possible because, well, it's not my style to be hugely formal, but it just doesn't fit to be super, super formal. It's not a political speech. And so it's more like a conversation. The trick is in the phrasing, changing the sentences, using sentences that are long and short, long and short, 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 long, long, short, to just move it along. And it is okay, frankly, and I'll show you this later. It's okay to sometimes have sentence fragments. In other words, not a complete sentence. Sometimes it's okay to emphasize by repeating. You really, really want to emphasize, you repeat. See, I just did that. You sometimes you want to emphasize by repeating, and that is perfectly okay because that's the point of the presentation. You want to get across your point. Really long, rambling formal. And I'll tell you, when I first started editing and writing speeches for the university, I made big mistakes. I wrote very formal, long, eloquent sentences with big words, big mistake. No one understands the big words. They're difficult to pronounce, and the audience stops listening. And so really long, formal, unless you're writing, you're going to publish it. But even then, it's nice to read a nice, short, punchy speech than it is a long, rambling speech. So, but all possible, you also need to be active. You avoid soft, ambiguous words. Oh, I wish, I dream, I hope, I might, I may. Well, there's nothing specific. It's ambiguous. That achieves nothing. In other words, I will try to make an effort to develop sometime in the future. No, I will. The university will. The university will endeavor to create a membership relationship or a network of relationships or to enter into collaborative relationships with our partners to develop sometime in the future research agendas. No, the university will. It's more concrete. It's more sincere. It's more authentic, and you feel more confident about that. So avoid the long. We'll try to make an effort to, and obviously we need to avoid political, religious, social, controversial, because you're writing the speeches for university representatives. If one of the speakers wants to make a personal comment that has a personal message, they can. But the university needs to be very careful about social, religious, political, controversial topics. And so you really want to keep it smooth and easy and away from anything controversial because they're representing the entire university. The president is not speaking for himself. If he does, he needs to say that. The president is speaking for the university, which includes the council and the deans and the faculties. So you have to avoid social controversies. Research, it's okay. I'll show you about this in the future. Let's go forward. Here's some more of my examples. Okay. The Mekong River Authority, MRA, whose members include erstwhile representatives from each of the 5 independent nations that benefit economically and culturally from the Mekong, is fervently dedicated to the unwavering study of environmental issues impacting the Mekong. Good God. And frankly, I'll tell you the truth. I actually took some of this language from a speech. So some of it I made up, but some of this I took from a speech. It's horrible. You don't understand it. I mean, did anyone understand anything I said? You mean, okay, here's the thing. The Mekong River Authority, known as the MRA, is dedicated to the study of environmental issues affecting the Mekong River system. The MRA's membership include representatives from each of the 5 nations that benefit directly from the Mekong, right? A representative from each of the 5 member nations, Cambodia, China, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam, will provide remarks during this conference. That's what this long, rambling nonsense said was this. Okay, notice although by the way that Cambodia, China, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam are listed in alphabetical order. Why? If you list them in a different order, it sounds like you're putting one as a priority over the other. So the order needs to be alphabetical unless in fact you are wanting to give a priority. You want to be very careful. When we have all these representatives, you need to be careful how you list them. If you're saying welcome to a bunch of universities or countries, you do it in alphabetical order to avoid sounding political or giving priority to one of the guests. Okay. Okay. Now here's this is one I took it from the internet and then I fixed it. But some of this is from the United Nations SDGs, the SDGs Sustainable Development Goals. And this is the speech. I edited it. Quality education. One of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, quality education, is intended to reduce poverty and promote gender equality. Over the past decade, some progress has been made by increasing access to education at all levels, particularly for girls. More must be done. Career training should be part of every student's educational experience. Education for girls leading to professional careers is critical. Equal access, achieving rewarding careers, achieving leadership roles, these are the key points of our discussion at this conference. Okay, what I tried to achieve there was very different paces, long sentences to make, give the information I needed to give, that the Sustainable Development Goal is to reduce poverty and promote gender equality. So that sentence had to be longer to get that information in there because that is the SDG. That's what it says. Right. Then to emphasize equal access, achieving rewarding careers, achieving leadership roles. These are the key points of our discussion. It's okay to use phrases. Those are fragments. They're not sentences. And frankly, I repeated about 3 times to make the point. And that's okay, because that's what you're trying to do is to get across the point you want to make. And so little short phrases and repeating, frankly, is terrific. That's a good technique. Okay, now do a little bit more technical stuff and then I'll move on to some other approaches. If at all possible, you want to avoid passive voice. Passive voice is where something is done to you rather than you do it. So the sponsored entity, CP Enterprises, is also graciously thanked. That's passive voice. No, we are grateful to CP Enterprises for its generous support. That's active voice. So we are doing the acting. The previous one, we are appreciative. So we've been acted on. So passive voice is more difficult. The presentations will be provided by highly credentialed experts. That's passive voice. The presenters are widely respected experts. That's active voice. So for as much as possible, have the person, the entity, the thing do the action. Don't have them affected by the action. If at all possible, avoid passive voice, use active voice. It just sounds stronger and more confident. They will describe their research that has provided commercially successful, which has proved commercially successful to farmers and food producers. Active voice. We will hear from a representative to the MRA. No, we will hear from. We're being acted on. That's passive. Active voice. A representative from each of the 5 MRA nations will provide remarks. That's active voice. So as much as possible, just avoid passive active voice. Oh, I don't think I want to go on this one. This is just another example of a really, really, really long, confusing sentence. And frankly, this is one I did take from a speech. I worked with, I can't remember who it was. I worked with some of the IAD staff on this speech, because this is the language that they use. The several options are available for us. They include the transformation of local social, ecological, and social economic practices and the substitution of unsustainable technologies for sustainable ones. And then later on it goes down. Look at the last sentence. And how are transformations of practices, social technological systems, and paradigms best initiated and successfully completed? Okay, they expected our president to read this speech. There's no way. I mean, I can't pronounce half these words. And so you have to be very careful about vocabulary. Here's my edits. Several options are available to us. This conference focuses on sustainable technologies intended to transform current social economic practices, which are too often unsustainable. And it goes on. Look at the last part. This seminar has a clear agenda. Together, we will consider which strategy will be successful. How can we effectively change? We look at, use, and benefit from our technologies. How can technological change improve our social economic system? It needed to say social economic systems because that's what the conference was about, was social economic systems. So everybody in the room understood social economic systems. I'm not sure I know exactly what it is, but this seminar used it all the time. How can we transform current economic practices, alter social technological systems? That's also vocabulary they used in the conference. Because otherwise, I'm not comfortable with social technological systems, but they used it in the conference. And ensure economic social policies benefit all members of our society. So you can make it short and punchy as much as possible, but you have to pick up on the conference. This conference was about social economic systems and social technological systems. That was what the conference was. So that's okay if that's what the conference is, because the audience understood the vocabulary. I don't. I'm a lawyer. Okay. Plagiarism, copying. Never, 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 never copy. I sometimes look stuff up. Like recently, there was a conference a while back on BDGs, BCGs, bio-circular green economies, or something like that. Something like, oh my God, I can't remember what it was. But circular green economies. Circular green economies, I think it was. Anyway, I had to look it up. And I did some reading so I could edit properly the information that was in the conference. And I did. I looked, I Googled it and read other people's stuff. And, and there are a couple of phrases I did steal, a couple phrases. I did see that there were a couple phrases that were used over and over and over again in many documents. And so, yeah, I did. I stole a couple of phrases because they're used a lot in that particular area of discipline of study. Okay, but frankly, a really good quote is lovely. A really good quote is lovely. And this is one I actually like this one. I used this one before. I like it a lot. This seminar, Modern Applications of the Philosophy of Sufficiency Economy, Developing Sustainable Rural Enterprises, draws much of its inspiration from His Majesty King Bhumipal Ayudadat, who provided thoughtful insight into sustainable development. And that's a little bit long, but it is important to get that information in there. And then here's the quote is lovely. Economic development must be done step by step. Punchy. It's a very good sentence. Economic development must be done step by step. Short and very succinct. It's a terrific statement. It should begin with the strengthening of our economic foundation by assuring that the majority of our population has enough to live on. Once reasonable progress has been achieved, we should then embark on the next steps by pursuing more advanced levels of economic development. That's a quote from His Majesty. Okay, now look how I tie it into the seminar. The session today are intended to embark on the next steps. He's been talking step by step. And then this seminar is intended to embark on the next step, repeating the king, pursuing more advanced levels of economic development. So you can use a nice quote that's a good quote from people that everybody respects, and then tie it into the program. That's lovely. That works nice. Okay. I think those are. Now the rest are just, I think, repeating where I'm again talking about talking too much, and so I'm going to stop talking too much and then go on to my next point. All right, my next point. I think it's really important in our programs, our speeches, to promote the university as much as possible. Just last night, I was asked to edit a short speech for the president. He's given the Welcome to Orientation program on August 5. The international students do an orientation program, and he's doing the welcome. And I edited it and I sent it back to Tony. And then I realized that, frankly, there wasn't much in the speech about the university's economic abilities. It was about, gee, we hope you have a great time at the university. We hope you enjoy your studies. We hope you meet friends. But there wasn't much about about the academic life. There wasn't much about, being a serious, diligent student at the university. So we're inviting all these international students. I think there's like 300 of them. And there was nothing about the academic in the speech. So I said, Tony, I need to edit it a little bit more. So I went back and added more about, we hope that you take your studies seriously and appreciate the hard work that's gone into creating these international programs. The university strives for academic excellence, and we hope that you study, diligently so that you can develop rewarding careers, that sort of thing. Just so as much as possible, I think we should promote the university. Not just, not the happiest place on earth. This is not Disneyland. And so, the whole happy theme, it's not my style. So I want to emphasize research, the academic part of the university. All right, but you have to be careful that when you're promoting the university to an entire room of experts, you have to be respectful to them. You have all these partners in the room, and you have to acknowledge them when you're doing this, promoting the university. Here's an example. Okay, here's the seminar. The seminar he's welcoming them on behalf of Faculty of Engineering and the organizing committee of the Research Alliance of Mekong Universities. Again, I made this up. I welcome you to the seminar. The seminar is Technology and Changes Affecting the Mekong River System. I made this up, okay? But notice who the sponsor is. The sponsor is the Faculty of Engineering and the organizing committee of Research Alliance of Mekong Universities, okay? Before we begin the conference, I would like to tell you a bit about Gasitsad University. Okay, here we go. And frankly, a lot of this I took from speeches, and some of it I added to emphasize my point. Gasitsad was established nearly 80 years ago on 2 February 1943. Okay, stop. Why is 2 February 1943 important to this seminar? The date is not important. When you do this, otherwise people stop listening. That's my point. Yes, promote the university. In the 80 years, yes, it's been around for a good long time. That is totally relevant. But the specific date So we are hosting many events this year in celebration of our anniversary. That's fine. Gesetsad was the first institution of higher education in Thailand dedicated to university-level education and agriculture. Since it was established, the university has evolved to become the largest university in Thailand. You guys do this all the time. Largest does not mean best. And so that's up to you. I mean, it does say something about the university, but I've never really gotten into that of why important it is to talk about we're the largest. You know, that doesn't, in my mind, that does not connote quality in my mind, my opinion. That's my opinion. You guys can, largest, you might like to do that. With a comprehensive curriculum, yes, a comprehensive curriculum, and it now offers degree programs at 5 campuses. And honest to God, I've been at conferences where they've done this. They list the 5 campuses. Why? Unless there's relevance. We have research institutes in various parts of Thailand. Yes, that makes sense. You're emphasizing that the universities, those extension programs and research institutions, in agriculture all over Thailand. That's relevant. This is a conference on engineering technologies. All of those research stations are agriculture. And so just be sensitive to who your audience is. And also, good God, this goes on and on. With 16 faculties established more than 30 research extension training, we have 70,000 students with 42 here at the main campus in Ban Ken. Why is that information important? Just be sensitive to you. Okay, the university has consistently ranked as one of the top universities in agriculture and forestry. In 2022, we ranked 53rd. This is true, which is a really big deal, in accordance with, which is the wrong words, but in accordance with the QS University rankings. Okay. Now, here's my point. This is a conference about engineering. You have not mentioned engineering faculty, not even once. And I'll tell you, frankly, I worked with different faculties at the university, and they sometimes get a little tired of being ignored. It's true. So I'm just encourage you, when you promote the university, be sensitive to your audience. Okay, here's my rewrite. Gesetsad was established 80 years ago as the first institution in education focusing extensively on research education and extension training. Not just teaching. This is a research institution. You need to emphasize that. It has evolved to become the largest university, because you guys like to say that, in Thailand, and now offer undergraduate and graduate degrees in 5 campuses with 70,000 students in total. It doesn't, it's big. So you want to say that. But now watch. KU offers a diverse, comprehensive curriculum. More than 50 full degree programs are taught exclusively in English. This is an international conference. Talk about international education that the university does to show its academic excellence. I didn't list the campuses. It now goes on. The university is honored by its many international partnerships and for its many achievements, made possible by its global collaborative relationships, exchange of students, faculty, and researchers. Indeed, these collaborative relationships have helped the university achieve notable ranking among world universities, particularly in agriculture and forestry. But we appreciate the wide network of partners who have helped us to build strengths in each of our disciplines of study. In other words, look, we don't just do agriculture here. And also, we got where we are because of you guys, the audience. That's the point. You see the difference? You want to use the relationship with the university with the partners, the people in the audience. That's what I try to do here. So we continue to look for opportunities. We are eager to interact with the expert engineers who are with us today. You acknowledge who the audience is, and you want to give respect to them. We are who we are because of our relationship with you. That was the point of this little speech. Does that make sense? Okay. The rest, I think, is just pretty simple. Yeah. My point is, when you're doing the ceremonial stuff, welcome or goodbye, just do it short and sweet because people aren't listening anymore anyway. They're done with the conference. Thank you for attending. We appreciate your attendance. Please feel free to participate. Oh, I welcome you warmly. Your attendance and participation are greatly appreciated. Please feel, I would like to welcome. No, I welcome you. I would like to. You don't need, I would like to. You don't need to. I would like to. No, I welcome you. That's all you need to say. I welcome you warmly. Your attendance and participation are appreciated. Please feel free to participate actively by sharing your expertise, your insights, and your questions. So bring them into the role, into the conference. And then ending it, thank you for attending. I would like to thank you. No, thank you for attending. Done. This seminar has successfully provided a clearer picture of the challenges ahead. Try to be as punchy as possible. The presentations have helped us to see the research and studies that must be done in order to achieve better management of our quickly diminishing natural resources. Okay. So as much as possible, punchy. In fact, I just realized that's not punchy enough. The presentations have helped us to see the research and studies that must be done. We need to collaborate, something about collaborate together to achieve these goals. Something punchy at the very end. This was too wordy. I didn't do a good job of editing here. Okay, so that's what I have on writing a ceremonial speech. Introduce yourself, why you're here, who are the sponsors. The body needs to blend into the reason you're here, but also needs to have a conversation, an approach that's people can listen to, change the pace, repeat words, phrases, short phrases, redundancies, repeating things, all are helpful to emphasize the point you want to make. Be respectful of the audience. I firmly believe that every program should have some means of promoting the university. And so that is fine. Promote and give information, factual information about the university that's relevant to that program and also is respectful to the audience. And so just be careful about including the comprehensive research, broad number of international programs that the university has. All of that is really a big deal. And that's what needs to, in my mind, that's what needs to be emphasized. Research, the broad network of international partnerships, the success the university has had, academic excellence it has with a huge, diverse curriculum. And in my mind, those are the emphasis for promoting the university. Okay, I'm going to stop and before I go to a different topic, see if there's any specific questions or comments. Are there any? Want to stop for a moment? Okay, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. You please use my email or, even after the program today. Okay, this is part 2. Oh, part 2, good. Okay, now what I shift into, is this in full screen? Am I in full screen? Okay, it's okay, full screen. All right. Now this is very practical. So it's a little bit boring in parts because it is, I'm going to talk about grammar, punctuation, word choice, sentence structure. It's kind of like the basic stuff that you probably studied when you were in high school. But it's important. And here's some things I want to emphasize that these are the things I see mistakes all the time. And again, no one dies, no one gets sick, no one is harmed by these mistakes. It's just a matter of, trying to do the best we can when we do professional communication. All right, so the professional written communication, semicolon, with no space. Some practical recommendations. And then my name, professor, period. space. This is what I want you to focus on, is these are common mistakes. Look at this is where it says not. These are the mistakes I see all the time. The title of this program is Professional Written Communications. Thus, the entire title should be capitalized. Capital P, capital W, capital C. Semicolon, no space. Semicolon, no space. So this one is incorrect. I see this all the time. And then again, professor, assistant professor, space. Assistant, period, space. Professor, P-R-O-F, space, period, space. And it makes a difference, just a matter of how it looks professionally. As I said, no one gets hurt by these mistakes, but it just doesn't look professional. So here are the things I've observed in doing the editing over the number of years. Again, I have huge respect for you guys. You're doing this in a second language. And so I'm only offering this because I know it's difficult. English is a really stupid language. It's really, really hard. Okay, here we go. Here's a typical announcement that we have. The first one is oh, there's a typo. See, floor should have one space, not two spaces. Okay, there we go. Okay, the title of the program is APEC International Seminar on Urban Planning. All right, at Gasetsad Golden Jubilee Building. You don't need prepositions. At, in, on, at. You don't need it because it's an announcement. This is not a sentence. So skip all the prepositions. You don't need them. They just gunk it up. They add stuff you don't need. All right. And also, it is not Apex. The title is APEC International Seminar, just like it is Gazette University. It is Matthew P. Downs. That is the name. You don't need apostrophe S. You don't need possessive. And then I don't like sixth. I really, or first, or second, third. You don't need it. It just adds extra stuff. You don't need it. It really, and frankly, you only use it if you're using a sentence. I am going to the fourth floor. But I'm going to floor 4. You don't need it. And also, I just want the announcement in red. In many cultures, red is used for emergencies, for people who are dying, or for danger. Do not use red. You can use dark blue, dark green, a dark color, because you can see it. Light colors you can't see. But red, don't use dark red unless you really are saying, warning, don't go down this road, or don't open this door. Otherwise, do not use red. It is not for writing. It is not a professional color. It means mistake, wrong. Okay, now look at this. The international seminar, S should be capitalized, urban planning. There is no comma. It says APEC International Seminar on Urban Planning. There is no comma. This comma right here. You don't need the comma after planning, comma, because it is the end of the line. The end of the line shows that it's the break. You don't need a comma after planning. Prepositions are all gone. Tuesday, 11 August, 10 to 16:30. And then I'll talk about hours in a little bit. Okay, so this is my point. I'm being very picky. Picky means precise, high standards, trying to be accurate. So I am going to be picky. All right, first off, try to use a font that is common. Don't go down that long list and pick a real new fancy font, because you move from document to document, and frankly, the text moves. And so use a consistent one that we use a lot. I actually don't like Calibri, the very modern one, Calibri, because the I and the L are exactly the same. So frankly, it's not easy to read. So Calibri looks modern and clean, but it's not easy to read. And so frankly, Cambria or Times New Roman are my favorites because you can read them. Oh, by the way, I've studied Thai language, and I really don't like your modern Thai script on signs and stuff. I can't read it. I only know the old style Thai. You know what I mean? Some of the, I read in the MRT or the BTS, there'll be signs. I can't read your advertising because sometimes the script is so modern. Anyway, that was besides the point. Okay, so fonts, something you can read and large enough. Professional letters should always, always, always be 12 or 11. 12 is better than 11, but never, never smaller. You need to be able to see it. So email, letters, 12 or 11 font. Big, for speeches, we do so it's easier to read. We use, I think, 14 oftentimes for speeches. And frankly, when I'm emceeing programs, I like it big too, because it's easier to see. Anyway, okay, now go forward. Okay, now, academic titles. Okay, again, no one gets sick, no one gets hurt about mistakes. And frankly, there is not agreement about this. All of these are correct. Dr. John Wachanrat, PhD, or no doctor, because you put PhD. You don't need PhD and you don't need doctor. You don't need both. You can choose one or the other. However, I like both. Why? Because doctor says that is his title. That's what you should call him. You should call him doctor, or you should call him president. So I use president. The third one is President John Wachanrat, PhD. You want him to be called president. You want him to be called doctor. So the first one is what you want that person to be called. And then doctor, well, I don't know if he is an MD, an EDD, a DMV. DVM is a doctor of veterinary medicine. JD is Juris Doctorate. That's me. I have a Juris Doctorate. Or an EDD is Doctor of Education. And so you don't know. So I think putting both is fine. It's up to you. So doctor, PhD. And frankly, it can be PH, no period, D, no period, or it can be PH period, D period. It doesn't matter, but do it consistently. In the same document, everything needs to be the same. So on the websites, they all need to be the same. Or if you're sending a document, you're a seminar or a conference, you have all these PhDs or guest speakers. Just choose one and keep it consistent. PH period, D period, or PhD. Either one, it doesn't matter. Just do it consistent. Okay, it is assistant professor, associate professor, professor. If you don't spell it out, if you do the abbreviations, get it right. And so anyway, here's the correct ones. ASST period, space, PROF period. Associate ASSOC period, PROF period, space, so space. Assistant space, professor, associate space. Between, after the dot. After the dot, there's always a space. Unless it's an abbreviation. Okay, any questions? Okay, see how picky this is? Is this boring? All right, so let's go forward. Okay, now, conference titles, the titles of seminars, the conference of events. You don't need a possessive unless you want it to become part of the title. The title is the title. It is Gesed Sad University International Conference. If you call it Gesed Sad University's International Conference, frankly, you don't know if the title is International Conference or if it is with the possessive. You don't need the possessive. The point is, it is the title. It is Gesed Sad University International Conference. That is the title. You don't need possessive. If you do a possessive, you can, but it just adds another little squiggly mark, the apostrophe and the S. So it just looks, you don't need it. You can. It does no damage. You don't need it. Definitely, you do not need the. It is, you say it though. Oh, I'm going to the Gesed Sad University International. But the title is Gesed Sad University International Conference. You don't need the. You say it when we talk, I'm going to the University of Minnesota. I'm going to the University of Chicago. I'm going to the University of Kyoto. Okay, that's because I'm saying a sentence. What is the name? University of Kyoto, University of Chicago, University of Minnesota. You don't need the. You say it when we talk in a sentence, but you don't need it for the title. Okay? Unless, of course, it is the title. Here, I checked the graduate school. The graduate school's proper name, their proper name, the name that they want to use is the capitalized graduate school. The graduate capitalized school, capitalized. That is their name. They haven't done that as their name. Their name is the graduate school. They do that on purpose. So, okay, fine, you do that. Gesed University's campus, you're talking about the campus. Gesed University Banking campus, the bottom one. So look at the bottom one and the Gesed University Banking campus. That is the name of the campus. You're giving it as the complete name. Or Gesed University's campus, that's possessive. You're talking about the campus, but that's not the name. Does that make sense? So just have to be careful. But I want to emphasize that when you're giving the name of an event, you know, Gesed University 80th anniversary. You don't need universities. It is Gesed University 80th anniversary. You don't need possessive. The title is Gesed University 80th anniversary. That is the title. Okay. Up to you. You don't need it. Okay. 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 There is no word welcoming unless you're talking about a verb. He is now welcoming the students. He is talking. He is welcoming. It is a welcome speech. The noun is welcome. Welcome speech. He is giving a welcome speech. He is giving a welcome address. English is weird because guess what? Closing is the noun. So welcome is the noun, closing is the noun. Welcoming is not a noun, welcoming is a verb. He is now welcoming the students. He is talking. He's over there welcoming the students. That's a verb. The noun is welcome speech, welcome address, welcome remarks. Then English is so weird. But then we turn around because the closing is, that's the noun. Closing, it's the closing. He's given the closing address. He's giving the closing speech. Or you can say he's giving the closing. That's all you need to say, the closing. So welcoming, no. It is not the welcoming speech. There's no such word. Well, unless you are talking in terms of a verb. But as a noun, it's the welcome speech, the welcome. Okay? That was my point there. I'm done with that one. Okay, dates. This is a fun one. This is really picky. Okay, I like to keep it as clean and get rid of all the commas and dots and all that as much as possible. My favorite way to write a date is the first one. To be clear, okay, you want not to make a mistake. So often you include the day and then the 12 July, not the 12th. No, or third. No, you don't need it unless you're writing a sentence. In other words, I will meet you on the 12th of November. Yes, that's a sentence, but you don't need it. I will meet you 12 November. Works just as well. So Tuesday, 12 July. We will meet 16 August. You don't need commas. Okay, now look down. Look at number 4 here. We will meet Tuesday, comma, 5 August 2022, comma. You need the commas because 5 August 2022 has been set apart. You need commas. And then the last one, we met. We met. In other words, we already finished on July 5, comma, 2022, comma, because you moved the 5. If we met 5 July 2022, you don't need the comma. So anyway, the first date I like the best because the fewest number of commas and dots. It just makes it simple, easier, cleaner. That's my point. Oh, by the way, did you know that 12 p.m. is noon? 12 a.m. I just got back from Vietnam, and I was sitting, and the guys next to me were noticing that their next plane left at 12 a.m. and they thought it was midnight. I mean, they thought it was noon. They said, no, that's midnight. So p.m. and a.m. for 12 is confusing to people, even Americans. These were Americans, so it's confusing. So frankly, say noon. Because 12 p.m. people, is that midnight or noon? Well, so just say noon, say midnight. It's easier, right? So these are just some examples as you wish. If you do a sentence, we will meet on the 22nd. Yes, and it's 4th, 5th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, if you need to do it. But try to avoid it. It just extra, and it's a silly looking script. You don't need it. Okay, this one right here, I want to be careful about. 12/07/22. Okay, in the United States, what date is that? In Thailand, what date is that? 12/07/2022. What is the date in Thailand? Is that December or July? In the United States, it's December. So I frankly encourage you not to do that. This is the one I like, 12 July 2022. It makes it clean and simple. In fact, when I sign documents now, because I have to stop, am I signing the document as an American? Am I signing the document as a Thai? And so I don't do this. It's too confusing. I write July or write December, so it makes it clear. Okay? Okay, a little bit more about first and second. Sometimes it is the name of the street. Like when I lived in California in Sacramento, I lived on 6th Avenue. That was the name of the street. And when you go shopping in New York, people love to go to 5th Avenue. That is the name of the street. So then it's okay. But frankly, this is easier. The meeting room is on the 4th floor. On the 4th floor. The meeting is on floor 4. That's the easiest and cleanest and simplest. The meeting is on floor 4. The room 239, room 4. That's all you need. So sometimes it is the name of the thing, 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue, sure. But otherwise, you don't need it, right? One last thing on this point. Firstly and secondly, there are no such words. So don't use them. There are 2 reasons. Do not use these words. There are 2 reasons. They are the wrong word and they're not needed. Okay, now think about this. There are 2 reasons. Well, you've already said there are 2 reasons. You don't need to say first, second. You already said there's 2 reasons. So just say there are 2 reasons. They are incorrect and they're not needed. You don't need to. 1, there are 2 reasons. 1, no, you just said 2 reasons. I'm smart enough to know that, I can count by myself. You don't need to say 1, 2 yet again. So, okay. Date ranges, times a day. Okay. AM, A period, M period, AM, no periods. Capital A, capital M, capital A, capital M, period, period. Which? They're all correct. So just choose one and use it consistently. I like the old style, 11:45 space, A period, M period. I like it because AM means I am, I am, so it's a word. So I grew up with A period, M, but it's up to you. Just do it consistently in the same document. Do it consistently. But there is a space, 11, no space, push together, 45 space, A period, M periods. So these matter. It just looks professional. If you don't do it, it looks wrong. Like, no one gets hurt, but it just doesn't look good. Okay, so I prefer. And by the way, some parts of the world, where is I did this here someplace. Where is it? Oh, I made a mistake. Well, some parts of the world use a comma, or a dot, 11.45. You know what I mean? Not a colon, but they use just a single dot. They do that in some parts of the world. My friend in Britain, that's what they do. It's up to you. I like 11:45 colon because it looks like a time. A dot in my mind looks like, $12.49. It looks like a decimal. So I prefer the colon over the decimal. The decimal looks like you're talking about $2.5, $2.50 or 2 point, it looks like a measurement or a decimal. So I prefer the colon. Okay, this one I want to emphasize here on this point, this sentence right here. Our appointment is at 7:30 a.m. At the end of the sentence, A period, M period, done. You don't need two periods. At the end of the sentence, if the abbreviation A period, M period, done. You don't need an additional one. Okay? Now let's go to one more point. You do not need HRS. The seminar is at 9 a.m. to 16:30 p.m. Okay. First off, if you're using a 24-hour clock, so this one, I'm talking about this one right here. The seminar is 09 a.m. to 16:30 p.m. It's a 24-hour clock. You don't need AM, you don't need PM, because everybody knows 16:30 is afternoon, and everybody knows 9 is the morning. So you don't need it. It's just 9 to 16:30. That's all. You don't need it. If you're by yourself, maybe. I'll meet you at 7:30 a.m. Well, that's because you're meeting me at 7:30 in the morning, you're meeting 7:30 at night. Yes. Okay. Then you need to do it, just for clarification. Well, when there's a date range, a time range, you don't need AM and PM. You just don't need it. And then never, never, never HRS. HRS is for the military. And it is, look at here, compare 09, 16, 30, 24-hour clock, military times, no colon. So they use HRS for military. You guys are not in the military. You do not need HRS. HRS is used for the military. Okay. So I recommend that your convention should be 09 :00 dash or hyphen 16 semicolon 30. So I recommend this one, the top one, 096. It's the simplest and cleanest and most understood. You don't need AM, you don't need PM, just makes it clean and simple and easy to see. That makes sense? See, I told you this is really, really boring. All right, now, date ranges. Yeah, we're okay. Date ranges. How prepositions in English are confusing. They're horrible. To, in, at, on. It's all very difficult, and I know that. Okay. The professor is researching or visiting. The professor is visiting Gesetzt from to. I'm available between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. From to, between, and. From to, between, and. That's all. From to, from, through, from, until, between, and. So the professor will do research at Gesetzt University from 1st August to 30 December, from to. The visiting professor will do research at Gesetzt 1 August dash 30 December. You don't need, it means the same thing. Okay, the second one here. If you're using the hyphen Do not add from, do not add to. That's what it means. The hyphen means from to. That's what it means. So 1 August, the visiting professor will do research at Gessed University, 1 August to 30 December, dash, or hyphen. So you don't need from to. You don't need it. In fact, don't. Okay. And let me make a point about the 1 August hyphen or dash. I do a lot of editing for journals and scholarship, and some journals require a dash, some require a hyphen. So it depends on who the journal is. Some journals for pages 7 through 14, some require dash, some require a hyphen. Do you know the difference? A hyphen is short and a dash is longer. A dash is about 2 times longer than a hyphen. Okay, I don't care. Just in the same document, use it consistently. If you're doing scholarship, the journal will tell you what they want. And I pay attention to stupid stuff like that because I edit, these articles for professors, and I have to. But for writing that we do, for ceremonial purposes, it doesn't matter. Just choose one and use it consistently. The hyphen's easier because it's just, you push the button on the computer. So the hyphen's, the short one, is a lot easier and shorter, and it's perfectly fine. Okay, does that make sense? No space. Notice 1 August hyphen, no space. 30, there is no space. No one dies if you add a space. No one gets hurt, but you don't need it. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry? During. During, oh, that's a broad, during. The question is, how do you use the word during? During is a broad time frame. It's very, very imprecise. The professor will be visiting us during the first semester. The professor will come during the first week of August. During today, I'll talk to you during today. Well, when? Imprecise. It means imprecise. Correct. Correct. Not exact date. As I will meet you at, the plane will depart at 12:47. That's very precise. The plane will depart about 12:45. 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, about. Okay. During the lecture, sometime during the lecture, I'll stop and ask questions. During, very, very imprecise. And so, if you want to be precise, it's at. The bill is due by Friday. You must pay your tuition by Friday. In other words, by the end of day Friday, it's due. If you say it is due before Friday, it's due Thursday. So you have to be very careful. Now, in fact, I don't like before, because that confuses people. Well, is the bill due, or do I have to pay registration on Friday or Thursday? Well, in the United States, before means before. And so I have to turn in before Friday. In other words, I have to turn in Thursday. So by means at the end of day, Friday. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good question. Well, no. Okay. So, okay, now here's, I did more. I forgot I did this. Here's example of hyphen versus a dash. Hyphen, when you see the hyphen, see the dash, I don't care. Either one is fine. If you're doing a 2-word, you're connecting 2 words, a 2-month vision, that's a hyphen. It must be. A 2-month visit, then you're putting 2 words, email. You can write email, e-mail, or email. You don't need it. Modernly, we don't use it. You don't need it. Or e-visa. I went to Vietnam and I noticed that they were e-visa, e-visa. That's a hyphen, not a dash. It's a hyphen. Short one. So anyway, There's a bunch of examples of using dashes and hyphens. So you can look at it, as you want to, but it's just use the same one throughout the document. You're fine. Okay. More about from to. Oh, the seminar scheduled during. No, that's incorrect. See, look here. The seminar is scheduled during 9 a.m. to no. Because during just makes it ambiguous. It's the wrong word. Mm-hmm. If you use 9 to 16, you don't need anything. Okay, now watch this. This is one for you have to be very careful about how you write it. And frankly, my contract is wrong. So my current contract, and I didn't catch it. I wasn't paying attention. And so my contract is for 1 year and 1 day, which creates a real problem. I had to buy 2 visas because I had 1 day too much in my contract. So look at this. She will be a visiting professor from July 1 until July 1, 2023. Well, that's 1 year plus 1 day. That's my contract. I had to buy 2 visas because of this 1 day mistake. So the correct one is here, 1 August to 31 July. That's 1 year. Look at this one, 30 June to July 31. That's 2 days extra. That makes sense? You just have to be very careful if you're talking about a year, make sure it really is a year. The professor is coming for 1 year. We do these letters. We do a lot of these letters. The professor will be a researcher at the university for 1 year, and you give the dates. Make sure it is 1 year, because if it's wrong, really screws up the visa. I was not happy to buy 2 visas. It was my mistake. I didn't read my contract carefully, which is why I know now to be careful. Okay. Here are some examples. The bold is correct. The not bold is incorrect. The visiting professor will do research at Gasitsad from to. That's correct. The second one, the research must be conducted between and. That's correct. From to. The research, here's one. The research begins on the first day of July and concludes on the last. Concludes, stops on, ends on, or ends at, either one, on or at. The research begins on the first day, concludes at. But English is so crazy. It doesn't matter. Research begins on and concludes on. So these are just more examples. I don't want to do them. Okay, here's my last editing comment. Yeah, here's my last editing comment. The semicolon. When you use a semicolon, there's a big, long list. Big, long list. All right. The seminar includes representatives from many universities, semicolon. You do not need as follows. The seminar includes representatives from many universities as follows. You don't need. Semicolon means as follows. So you don't need to say as follows. Semicolon means as follows. So the seminar includes representatives from many universities. Colon, as follows. That's what it means. All right. Vice President Lopez, comma, University of Manila, semicolon. Why? Because you already have a comma after Lopez. So if you use a comma in the item, then you need semicolon to separate additional ones. But frankly, it looks ugly. So here's what I like. I like to use parentheses. This is the one I like. The seminar includes representatives from Lopez, University of Manila, parentheses. Dr. Richards for Manitoba, parentheses. It looks cleaner and easier to see. It's easier to read. See what I'm saying? It just, in my mind, I think so. I think it's easier to read. It just makes it, visually better to do. So you only use the semicolon if you use a comma. So these are wrong examples. And then, oh, by the way, if there's a semicolon, there is always a space. The semicolon comes right after. Vice President Vincent Lopez, comma, no space, one space, University of Manila, semicolon, space. Dr. Samantha Richards, comma, space. Manitoba University, semicolon, space. So you just have to be careful about spacing. The semicolon is no space, after the semicolon, space. Okay. Oh, I forgot about this. American spellings versus British spellings. Okay. The one that I see, it is my great honor to introduce the speaker, or it is my great honor to welcome you to the conference. Well, I think 85 to 90% of the documents I see at the university are written in American English. And I double checked. I looked at the Bangkok Post, the English version of the Bangkok Post, and it's about 85, 90% in British English, and only 5-10% in American English. Whatever you do, just choose and then do it consistently throughout the document. I think our websites are in American English. Yeah. And so when I see honor, HONOUR, I switch it. I put it back to American. So just be aware of that, but it's not a big deal. In Canada, they use both. They use just as you wish. You just do it. So they're very imprecise in Canada, because I looked, because I was just curious, what do they do in Canada? In Europe, it's mostly, when they write in English in Europe, it's mostly British style. OUR, honor, center, RE, So anyway, I did the list here of the common ones. I looked at Chula, I looked at Tamasa, I looked at Mahidol, and they use American. So I think Thailand predominantly uses American. I was frankly quite surprised, because I hadn't thought about the Bangkok Post when I looked at it. I was surprised that it was British, because most everything is American. And I see that, at least that's what I see is most common in Thailand. But it's up to you. Just be consistent. Okay. Some picky things. Staff is singular and plural. So the university's staff, meaning one and all of them. There are a staff of engineering, there's a staff of IED, the staff of the International College, the staff of agriculture, the KU's, the university staff. It's singular and plural. There is no such thing as staffs. There is no such thing. It's the same as rice. I would like to eat some rice. How much rice would you like? Oh, there are many varieties of rice. That field has a lot of rice. We don't say rices. It's exactly the same as rice. I hope. So there's no such thing as staffs. Same with research. There's no such thing as researches. Well, unless it's a verb. I research, he researches, she researches, they research. It's a verb, but she does a lot of research. There are many research projects. It's the same as staff. It's the same as rice. Oh, I would like lots of rice. I want 2 bowls of rice. You label it. So she does, how much research is she doing? Well, she's doing 5 research projects. So you have to add a word to give, to add scope to it. Otherwise, it's just, she does a lot of research, lots of research. So staff and research, single only. And for me, because I do a lot of editing for agriculture and agronomy data, data is both. You just have to be consistent. The data were collected, the data was collected. Both is correct. You just have to be consistent. And some journals will tell you, in our journal, data is plural. In our journal, data is singular. But you probably, avoid the word. Sets of data. I look at this set of data, look at the sets of data. So use sets of, that's what I do. The set of data, the sets of data. So I change the word. Bowls of rice, one bowl of rice, bowls of rice, same thing. Set of data, sets of data. Because otherwise the word data is too confusing. Okay. I think I'm done on picky. I did a whole thing on prepositions. Our flight leaves at, your report is due by. The report must be mailed before, which is confusing because that means it has to be done on Thursday. We are available on Tuesday between 10 and 2. Or next Tuesday, but anyway, there's a lot of picky prepositions. So I just gave that to you if for fun, but it's too boring to go over. All right. Okay. One more document, then I'll leave you alone. Oh, cancel. This one's short. Is it coming up? What am I doing wrong? Oh, here it is. Okay. Is that showing now? You can see it? Okay, that's showing on the computers. It shows on Zoom. Okay. Professional letters. Okay, I'm gonna go right to it. All right. When you're writing a very formal professional letter, here are the parts that are typically expected. There needs to be the letterhead, the logo. The most important information there is the address, because they need to respond. If the logo letterhead does not have the address at the top, you put it at the end after the signature. So it needs to go here or here at the end. You need to have contact information. Who should you respond to? What is the address? I hate it when I get communication, even an email. I go, how do I respond? The email you go reply, but sometimes I need to send a letter, or I need to, I need more. So I really hate it when there's not contact information. And sometimes don't respond to me, respond to FRO. Who do you want to respond to? Tell them, and that's the best place to put it. Okay, so the letterhead needs to include address, and then the date, and then there is the internal address. It's just convention. We've done it for not thousands of years. We've done it for hundreds of years. It's just expected that the next part is the internal address, the address of the person who is getting the document. So this goes to the Royal Thai Embassy in Bangladesh. I changed the name, I changed the passport number, but everything else is a real letter. It's a real letter. We just did recently I did this letter recently with IAD. So it's a real letter. I changed the name of the person, I changed the passport because I wanted to protect, obviously, their privacy. But everything else is a real letter. All right, here, this is really, really, really helpful, is to have this RE. RE means in reference to, regarding, relation, related to. So in other words, this is the subject. And then in very short phrases, not sentences, why are you writing this letter? And right at the top, frankly, the embassy has all the information they need right there at the top. Who is the person? Why? We're requesting an ED visa because this person is going to be a great researcher Oh, and they know it's to Gesetsad because it's on Gesetsad University letterhead. And then here are the dates and the passport. So this is really helpful for professional communications, is the regarding, related to, subject. I like RE because it's short. RE means related to, reference to. Okay, now to. Never, 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 never to whom it may concern, because that's the point. Who should get the letter? Oh, it should go to whom it may concern. Well, they want to know. And you've said, oh, it goes to who it should go to. Who should it go to? It should go to the person it should go to. That's not helpful. So at least give the division, the department, the purpose. You know, if you can't find the actual name of the officer, then, you know, at least the office, admissions office, scholarship office, the human resource office, the human resource officer, you know, give information about where it should go to whom it may concern, is completely wasteful. Does not give any information. Does that make sense? So at least give the department. And then why I'm writing. Go at it. You don't go, according to, no. I am writing because. I'm writing on behalf. Start the letter. You don't need never, never, never good morning or good afternoon, because you don't know what time they're going to get the letter. So don't waste their time. This is a professional office communication. This is not writing to your best friend. And so I am writing on behalf for this reason. All right. Now notice the format. This is the block style. So I am writing is not indented. It goes all the way to the end of the line. That's up to you. I actually don't like both sides to be blocked, because then the spacing of words changes. So I like block on the left and then unjustified at the end. In other words, normal spacing on the right-hand side, because it's then the words don't get jumbled or moved or compressed. They don't get jumbled. Right? Now look at this, page 2. This is typically done for professional communications. On page 2, you indicate how many pages. Remember, I'm a lawyer. I was a lawyer. You always said how many pages are in the document, so they don't add pages. So it protects the authenticity of the document. So this is 2 of 2 pages. This is page 2 out of 2 pages. And then I'll also get, you know, why we're writing this letter. So in cases they get separated, you can put them back together. That's the reason, right? And then the signature and the contact information. So I like, this is the style I like. It's up to you. I like block with unjustified right, justified left, block left. But it is okay to write it in a different format. This is perfectly okay to do the indent. And then this is justified both sides. Block left, indent, and then justified right. That's up to you. I don't like it because it's sometimes it pushes the words together or separates the words. And you're not writing a book. This is not a book. So it's okay. You don't need to do justified. And frankly, don't justify speeches. It makes it harder to read. I mean, in other words, the right-hand side margin, leave it natural. It's easier to read. Your eye will follow the lines better. Right? So up to you. It's up to you. Whether it's justified or indented and all that, up to you. Okay. One last point, and then I'll stop. This is also a real letter I did a couple of years ago. So I changed the date, but I did this letter a couple of years ago, and Dr. Nino is a friend. He's became a friend. But this is, I wrote it in different ways. Again, letterhead, address here or at the bottom, internal address, date, internal address, regarding, and then dear Professor Dr. Nino, semicolon. Notice that? Professor Dr. Nino, semicolon, versus comma, Professor Nino, comma. Semicolon is used for very formal business. I don't know this person, semicolon. It's just a way of being very, very polite. You know, I'm not pretending to know you, you know, semicolon. But it's not, again, is not a big deal, but for very formal letters, it's semicolon. And then this is a really, really long letter, and I had to respond to very specific questions. Now watch how this letter is written. I am writing in response to your inquiry, which was done by email. I wrote a long letter in response because I had a lot to say, because he had many questions. He did an email with that question. I did a formal letter so I could respond very carefully, and it makes a file, it builds a record, so it's a more formal response. And I attached it in the email, but I wrote a very, very formal letter. All right, I'm responding to your email dated regarding blah, blah, blah. One of the issues you raised pertains to the cost per student. As for housing, the draft budget we have outlined includes, what does it include? You had a follow-up question, I had a follow-up question about language classes. So every first sentence begins the topic. Every first sentence begins the topic of that paragraph. Every paragraph has one topic. All right. So the very first words tell you what is the topic of this paragraph. And that's the very first words, so I don't waste time. Okay. Okay. Now, frankly, this is how I really wrote the letter. Down here. This is the letter I really wrote. I added headnotes. I added an outline, because then it's really easy. Cost per student. You have asked about cost per student. Cost per student. Meals. Housing. Those are the questions he asked. So I highlighted them right in the email. I mean, the mail. Letter. In the letter. It makes it super easy to read and understand. And frankly, Nino's a friend, so I said, "Dear Nino." That's okay, because he's a friend. We chat by email back and forth. So, but if it's not a friend, comma or semicolon, doctor, ambassador, your eminence, whatever, obviously, then it's going to be semicolon or a comma. Dear. Dear is disappearing. It's really an old way of saying greeting, hello, but you know, it's kind of weird. Just, oh, dear. You know, I mean, that's what people call their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their husband, their wife, dear. And so we use it for letters, but it's really weird. And so increasingly people are stopping to do it. They're just going Nino or Dr. Nino. That's okay. Still, though, I think, and I went online, I checked Google, I looked at bloggers, and they say, you know, it's disappearing, but it's disappearing more in emails. But for formal letters, they're still doing dear Dr. So-and-so. Dear does not mean I'm in love with you. It just means I'm talking to you. That's all it means. So we still use dear. I think it's still kind of weird. I never liked it, to be honest. I don't know this person. Why am I calling them dear? Well, Nino, I don't mind. He's a nice guy. But, you know, people I don't know, I think it's a little weird. Okay. So that's all I had. In summary, what I meant to do was to do a little bit about putting together a ceremonial speech, announcements, some really picky points about punctuation and how we write this stuff to make it clear. But I do want to emphasize that many of these issues it's just a matter of a decision. It's up to you, but be consistent. You know, A period, M period, or A period, or AM, or PM, you know, caps, up to you. Just choose one and then use it consistently. I will edit with A period, M period. That's what I like. I really prefer my way of listing dates. I think the way I list dates is very clear and precise and easy to see. I like the way I give time ranges. 09 colon 00 dash 1430. It's just simpler and easier and everybody understands it. So those were my protocols. That's what I meant to do, was to give you what I think is the clearest way to read. And I just did a couple illustrations of letters. My point in the letters is, don't waste time, get to the point, make it clear in the very first sentence of every paragraph. Every paragraph, one topic, and make it clear what you're talking about. That's all I had. Is that okay? So any questions? You can send it to me by email or even after I retire, send it to me. Oh, email. Email, okay. Here are a couple. I'll only just do a couple of my pet peeves. Okay. Emails. The subject line really is valuable. If at all possible, you could, if at all possible, when you send out an email or respond to an email, if at all possible, the subject line, give the information. The seminar is on 23 August from 9 o'clock to 14 p.m. Put it in the subject. You know, you have asked about the, and then the body of the email is, you've asked about the forthcoming seminar on globalization. The seminar on globalization is August 23rd. It'll start at 9 and finish at 16:30. Well, put in the subject line, seminar 23 August, 9 to 16:30. You frankly gave in all the information in the subject line. It's really, really nice. But also, again, as I said, before, to whom it may concern, same rules. The only other thing is CC and BCC. I really get irritated when I get a CC to 130 partner universities. That really irritates me. One thing, it gunks up my email, but on top of that, I didn't get permission for you to give my email to all those people. So if you want to do a blast to send to many, 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 many people, use BCC, the blind copy. So be very careful about CC. CC, you should not copy CC unless they're really to be part of the communication. The difference between to and CC is to, I expect that person or those persons. I send it to FRO and I send it to 2 or 3 people, FRO and ISC. I send it to 2 people. One of you respond. I don't care, one of you respond. Either one, but to means you need to respond. CC is no, I'm just informing you. You don't respond, I'm just telling you. I don't expect you to respond. I'm just telling you. See the difference? To, I expect you to communicate. CC is, I'm just telling you about it. BCC, it's hidden. And you should not do that unless people have permission or they know. That's about it. And then the email itself, I do exactly the same as I did do a letter. I use signposts in my emails. I will do cost per student, or registration is due. The registration deadline has been extended. I put it right in. When registration has been extended. You can go in bold or you can go in caps. Caps are okay when you're using it as a heading, to highlight. Don't use caps in the body, because that means you're yelling. It is due today. No, when registration is due, that's a heading, that's okay. But registration is due today, all in caps, you're yelling. Not polite. See the difference? So caps, I do that to friends, but that's mostly just to show that I'm excited. I'll see you at the bar at 6 p.m. And so I put it in caps because that means get there on time. Otherwise, I think everything else is here's one point. We all need to be careful about our scope of authority, particularly me, because I have such a weird title, senior consultant. And I talk to universities from all over the world and putting together MOUs or MOAs, and I help draft them and I help negotiate them. I have no decision-making authority. I have no authority whatsoever. So I am very clear about my scope of authority. Just before I sign, where it says, sincerely, Matt, the last paragraph I always add is, I am just a consultant. I make recommendations. I have no decision-making authority. And frankly, your signature should include that you're an officer. You're not the president. You're not the vice president. You're not the director. You're just a staff officer. You're working for the staff. But it is perfectly okay to say, I will pass this information on to someone else, to the person in charge. I have no decision-making authority. And it's important sometimes for you to add scope of authority. I am providing this information because the dean asked me to provide this information. That's scope of authority. It's not my information. The dean asked me to give you this information. You're telling them your scope of authority. That's perfect. My pet peeve about emails is people that don't respond. That's because I think it's perfectly okay to say, hey, I got your email. I'm really busy today. I can talk to you tomorrow. Or I don't know the answer. I need to talk to a couple other people, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Just respond. I got your edits. Thank you. Done. That's perfect. I got you, and I do that. I mean, when I edit stuff for IED, the staff is terrific. They always go, got your edits. Thanks. Perfect. They got my edits. Otherwise, I worry. Did I hit the wrong button? Sometimes I write an email and I forget to hit send. So I always love getting the confirmation that, yeah, we got it. Anything else? So there's a lot here, but it's all chit chat because it repeats itself. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I want to thank you for listening, for attending. I hope some of this was valuable. There's lots of documents. It's thick, and so there's my point again, as I said, I'm trying to do a transition. I'm trying to help go to next year when I'm gone, and so there's lots of illustrations, lots of examples, so you can thumb through it and decide, oh, this is a good one. You copy. It's okay. That's the idea. You can copy. It's fine. So thank you so very much. Your work. I tell people back in the States. I mean, good God, I get some of the writing I see here. It's just so really good. It's frankly better than some of my students in the United States. So I respect when I edit. It's done with huge respect because I know your job is much harder. You draft it. I just need to edit it, and I've been doing it for 64 years. Right, so thank you so very much. Thank you, Sadikap.